The summer heat was thick enough to choke on, but nothing burned hotter than the nerve of that woman trying to steal my family's 600-acre farm while I was off chasing sunsets in Montana. My name's Ethan Cole, 44 years old, born and bred on this Texas soil where every blade of grass hums with my kin's sweat and dreams. This land, just outside the sleepy town of Willow Bend, has been ours since my great-granddaddy staked it in 1903 with nothing but a mule and a prayer. I never imagined I'd be standing in a courtroom, fighting for what's mine, but life's got a way of throwing curveballs. And this one? It came with forged papers, fake signs, and a bulldozer aimed at my granddad's barn. For years, our farm was a quiet haven pasture stretching wide, a creek snaking through, and silence so deep you could hear your own heartbeat. I grew up milking cows, fixing fences, and laughing with my kids under the oak trees. Then, 2 years back, the peace shattered. Across the road, a developer started carving up fields into what they called Willow Crest Estates rows of cookie-cutter houses with solar panels and no soul. Leading the charge was Vanessa Klein, the HOA president, a woman who'd wear diamond studs to a pig pen and call it class. She strutted around like she owned the whole county, clipboard in hand, preaching community standards with a smile sharper than a razor. Our first run-in was at my front gate. She handed me a glossy pamphlet titled Saw Unifying Neighborhoods Through Elegance Saw and suggested I repaint my barn to complement the EVOLVY in aesthetic. I told her my cows didn't give a damn about color schemes. Her smile didn't budge, but her eyes said I was a problem. From then on, I was her pet project. Letters piled up first, suggestions to quiet my roosters, then complaints about tractor noise and the smell of hay. I laughed it off. This is a farm, lady. If you can't handle manure, don't build your mansion next to one. But Vanessa wasn't just a nuisance. She was a predator. I caught one of her HOA minions flying a drone over my pasture, claiming it was for mapping VY Sewell Harmony. When I called him out, the kid nearly dropped his gadget and ran. Then came her big play, a proposal to donate part of my land for a community greenbelt. Funny how her greenbelt sliced right through my best grazing field. I saw her game polite words hiding a land grab. So, when my wife, Sarah, convoyed and sent me to take our kids on a 2-week road trip to Montana, I said yes, but only after rigging the place like I was bracing for war. I had the land resurveyed, every inch GPS tagged, and filed with the county and the Texas Farm Trust. I sat down with my lawyer, Lucas Hayes, a soft-spoken man with a mind like a steel trap. We drafted a notarized order. If anyone so much as planted a sign on my property while I was gone, Lucas had the green light to sue the HOA into dust. I registered the farm as a historical agricultural trust, locking it down so tight you'd need a federal judge to touch it. Then came the tech motion sensors at the gate, trail cams hidden in fake birdhouses, and a solar battery backup wired by my buddy Jake from the fire station, just in case Vanessa tried cutting the power. Before we left, I handed Lucas a sealed envelope labeled, "Open if Vanessa gets bold." Sarah teased me, asking if I was prepping for a burglary or an HOA apocalypse. I grinned and said, "Same difference, darling." A week into our trip, we were in Yellowstone, watching bison roam under a big sky when my phone pinged. It was a blurry photo from my neighbor, Hank, the unofficial watchdog of Willow Bend. A cement truck, workers in orange vests, and a sign stabbed into my front pasture. Saw Willow Crest Ranch. Phase 2, coming soon saw. My stomach dropped. Hank called, voice tight. "Ethan, they've got backhoes tearing up your alfalfa like it's a buffet." Some guy even asked if you'd want a modern rural lifestyle package. I told him the only thing getting modernized was my fist if they didn't clear out. I pulled up the security feed. There was Vanessa, strutting across my land in a branded jacket and a VY8ers, pointing at the barn like she was directing a MOVYE. A bulldozer revved, ready to level it. My blood boiled. She wasn't asking any more, she thought she'd won. What she didn't know was she just tripped over every trap I'd set. We drove home through the night, red dust swirling as we pulled into the farm at dawn. The sight hit me like a punch. My granddad's barn cordoned off like a crime scene, spray-painted lot numbers scarring the pasture, in an HOA kiosk parked in the middle of the field where my son learned to ride a bike. A teenager stood there, handing out brochures like it was a county fair. I stepped out of the truck, heart pounding, and locked eyes with Vanessa. She turned, holding a coffee cup, sunglasses perched like a tiara. "Mr. Cole," she said, voice dripping with fake warmth, "you're back early. We've made such progress." I didn't say a word, just handed her a thick envelope-me injunction. Then I waved. A black SUV rolled up, and out stepped Lucas Hayes, cool as a winter stream. Behind him came Sheriff Dalton with a court clerk, holding a cease and desist order like a loaded gun. Vanessa's face went pale. Sheriff Dalton marched to the nearest excavator. "All work stops now. Any equipment here in 1 hour is EVY Denke." Vanessa stammered. "This is absurd. We have documents pro VY ing Ethan signed over the land." Lucas didn't blink. "Those documents include the signature of Margaret Cole." I nodded. "My grandma, dead since 2006. The air went still. Lucas added, "Also, you misspelled Ethan's name. Twice." Her clipboard shook in her hands. Workers packed up. The kiosk kid bolted, tossing his name tag into the dirt. Vanessa stood alone, eyes darting like a cornered animal. Sheriff Dalton leaned in. "Ma'am, you're under investigation for forgery, fraud, trespass, and conspiracy to seize protected land. Get a lawyer. A good one." The trial was a circus. News vans lined the courthouse. Folks sold popcorn on the steps. And Judge Harlan presided like a man carved from granite. He cut through the noise. "This isn't about zoning. It's about whether a woman faked documents to steal 600 acres of family land." Lucas laid it all bare: photos, forged signatures, even an HOA email titled "Saw Acquisition Plan." Cole Property Saw. The room gasped when he revealed Vanessa had used a signature from my grandma, lifted from an old Farm Expo flyer. Judge Harlan stared at her like she was something he'd scraped off his boot. The gavel slammed. All HOA claims were voided. My farm was reaffirmed. Vanessa was referred for prosecution, and the HOA was fined so hard their expansion dreams crumbled. A week later, I sat on my porch, coffee in hand, watching the sun spill over the barn. Sarah planted wildflowers by the fence. The kids ran after chickens, laughing. Even our dog, Rusty, seemed to strut prouder. I threw a party called it the Coal Land Standoff Bash. We had a dunk tank with a cardboard Vanessa, a cormet spelling "No Trespassing," and that HOA sign. We painted it red. Saw "Welcome to Coal Ranch." The last fool who tried to take it is still in court. Grabbed some corn. Saw folks roared with laughter, but I just leaned back, staring at the pasture, and muttered, "Tell me again how this was going to be yours." Now, I've got questions for y'all. Should Vanessa face jail time for forging those papers? Or is losing her HOA empire punishment enough? Would you have fought like I did, or sold the land and walked away? And what's the shadiest thing an HOA has ever pulled on you? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button if you're Team Cole, and subscribe to hear more stories of folks fighting for what's theirs. Let's keep this fire burning.